Hello internet people! This is a bit of a departure from the regular content, so thanks for your patience with me. So quick PSA, if you are a creative, and in particular if you are a musician, I heavily recommend doing at least one of the two things I'm about to go into, and preferably both. These things are regularly backing up your computer and exporting what I like to call work in progress files. Backing up your computer, I know everyone talks about it and it should be simple. Often it's not. I go about 50 days between backups, so I'm very guilty with this. But if you struggle with executive function or you're just really busy and you forget to do this, some useful ways of getting around to backing up may include setting reminders in your calendar and even reminders on those reminders. If you use an Apple device, just using the generic calendar app and then putting in a alert me 2 days before, alert me 1 day before, repeat every week or every 2 weeks or whatever interval you like, that can be really useful. For 2, work in progress files. These are basically just low resolution exports of the incomplete version of your project that you should probably be exporting whenever you feel you've hit any kind of creative milestone, or just even if you don't feel you've made a lot of progress for a long time, just so that you've got a log of how things are going. These projects, all you need is basically an indicative name and the date. I'm not organized in any other capacity, but I heavily recommend dating your work in progress files. For example, there's a file on my computer called SADA 25 April 23.mp3, and SADA is short for Professor SADA, so this refers to Area 0, so it's a draft of my remix Limbic, and 25 April 2023 as opposed to the date of the final release, which was 20-something May. And that's just a way for me to look back and go, okay, this is where I was at then. Work in progress files are great. They're really useful for a few things. For one, they can be used to track your progress over time, so you can listen to them and have some fun by going, wow, I came a long way, or wow, this turned out nothing like how I expected it to, or wow, I spent so much time on that idea and it didn't even get used. And they're also really good if something goes wrong later in the project. You can listen back to them and reconstruct based on them. If you like, you can also be exporting work in progress versions of your Logic project or other file. I personally don't do this and don't recommend it, simply because, particularly if you're working in Logic, that's going to chew up a lot of file space very, very quickly. But exporting just low resolution audio or any other creative medium, low resolution versions of your project every now and then is just a great way to hold yourself accountable, and also just make sure you've got a contingency if anything goes wrong, as well as just doing a bit of record keeping. Work in progress files are also great because you can keep notes in the ID3 tags if it's an MP3. These can be notes on where you need to go with the project, so description, do more work on the pads. These can also just be life notes. I have a work in progress file of Breach where the note is just, go take a shower, Dorian, it's 1 PM. It worked, by the way. The reason I mention all of this is that recently, when I was opening up my Logic project for Limbic again, I noticed that Logic, for some reason, has decided Guitar Rig doesn't exist on my computer anymore, even though I still have Guitar Rig installed. I don't know how this happened. I'm fine with it though, because even though that's maybe 3 hours of guitar mixing flushed away, I can just go back to my work in progress files and probably reconstruct based on that with other plugins or with the alternative version of Guitar Rig if I can work out how to get it up and running. So I'm not devastated by that. Moreover, I also have backed up on my system the Logic project for Limbic as of its completion. Same goes for 48 Shame, No Authority, or any other tracks affected by losing Guitar Rig 6, so I'm not worried about this. However, if I didn't have backups or I didn't have work in progress files, this would probably be more of a problem. And unfortunately, things just tend to go wrong generally with technology, it's liable to fail. It's as human as we are in that regard, in that it's imperfect. So if you're seeing this, this is just your cue to go and either export a work in progress file or back up your computer, or if you're on a particularly good night for productivity, do both. If you're on Mac, by the way, you can back up and also work on your computer at the same time. You don't have to stop your online life for 2 or 3 hours in order to back up your computer if you're using Time Machine. I don't really have anything more to say, so thank you for watching and have a lovely night.